For as many of you that are clamoring for Barcelona to terminate Frankie de Jong's contract so that they can be able to register Dani Olmo, you guys are joking. I implore you guys to have a rethink. You obviously don't understand how football business works. Now, let me paint a scenario for you. Frankie de Jong is still on a contract with Barcelona until 2026, which means that he still has about a year and 6 months left in his contract, right? Now, he's the highest, as the most paid player in La Liga, 37.5 million euros every year. Now, according to the law, football law, you terminate a player's contract, a player who's still on a contract. Once you terminate that contract, you would have to pay that player off for the remainder of his salaries. Now, multiply 37.5 million euros by 1.5, which is the number of years that Frankie de Jong still has in his contract. Now, that is over 50 million euros. Now, let me also remind you that Frankie de Jong has unpaid wages from the COVID-19 period. A lot of Barcelona players deferred their salaries. If you remember, Frankie de Jong was one of them. He deferred his salaries and he has millions of euros in unpaid wages. Now you have to add that to over 50 million euros that you have to pay him off for terminating his contract. Now imagine the amount the amount that will be for Barcelona. Now, if you tell them, if they also allow Dani Olmo to go as a free player, they also will have to pay Dani Olmo off 48 million euros. That is how much his contract is worth from now till 2030, right? That's the amount of money it will be worth for them. You guys don't understand the level of dilemma Barcelona in, because paying off Dani Olmo or paying off Frankie de Jong is still like selling the dog and buying the monkey. You are also dipping your hands into that same pocket. That salary cap that La Liga is asking you to make provisions for, you are still dipping your hands into it. The easiest and the logical way for Barcelona now to come out of this dilemma would be to sell off their players that earn very, exorbitant amount in wages. And those players are Frankie de Jong and Robert Lewandowski. These two are the most expensive, the most paid players in La Liga. But who would want to buy a 36 or 37-year-old Robert Lewandowski? And how much? Who would want to buy a Frankie de Jong who's always in and out of injuries? How much? Right? He's not consistent. And who would want to buy him? And who will be willing to pay him that amount of money that he earns? You see this thing, it will take a serious, as in grace of God, for Barcelona to be able. I'm not saying that it's impossible. It is very, very possible. But it's going to take a lot of grace and concessions, a lot of concessions from a lot of people who are in charge for Barcelona to be able to register Dani Olmo. But if you are telling them to terminate Frankie de Jong's contract simply because he's inconsistent with form and everything, just so they can register Dani Olmo, that is even the worst position to be in.